Ambrose has a goal sent in. Goal! Get in! And it's Mikey Ambrose with the opener! Golazo! Golazo! Asso! Asso! Mikey Ambrose lights the blue touch paper and ignites it! This is a wonderful strike of top class!
Foul by Win. And in it to Burke. And Corey Burke has scored what may be the decisive goal for Philadelphia. And Philadelphia are dreaming of glory.
MLS Decision Day 2020 presented by AT&T is in the books, and after 13 matches, we know who's in and who is out. And Montreal, baby, they grabbed the number 9 seed, Calen.
Yeah, I mean, gutsy performance here. Kyoto making a committed run to send his team to the playoffs for the first time in 3 years.
And how about Miami? They clinched that 10th spot.
Yeah, you go out and you get big players like Blaise Matuidi and Gonzalo Higuain and Mikey Ambrose? Mikey Ambrose from way downtown. And then Leandro Gonzalez Perez, 2-1. It wasn't pretty for Miami, but they got in.
Got it done. And one of the big storylines of the day, the Philadelphia Union trophyless no more. They are your 2020 Supporters Shield winners, Charlie Davies.
They are who we thought they were. They came out and absolutely dominated. They won their tackles, they won their duels, and when they got into the final third, they were clinical. With Corey back in the fold, Jose Martinez was controlling the play, dictating the tempo. Well done, Union. First trophy in club history.
You love to see it. The big celebrations on the field. All right, so here is our first look at a bracket. It's bracket time, baby. And, oh, man, this is going to be fun. We've got those Eastern Conference play-in rounds. Nashville taking on Miami. That's going to be so good. The Revs against Montreal. And then in the round one, we've got the Union taking on the play-in lowest remaining seed. Toronto will take the highest remaining seed. And then we've got the Crew against the Red Bulls and Orlando City against NYC FC. This is going to be so much fun. We've got Columbus taking on the Red Bulls. This is just, I love these matchups, guys. This is fantastic.
There's some good ones. That Crew Red Bulls one, there's a lot of history between those two teams. I'm looking forward to Orlando versus NYCFC as well. But we got those play-in games to worry about first, gang.
The play-in games are going to be sick. I cannot wait. All right, guys, let's move it on to the Western Conference. This one was fun. SKC getting it done in the snow, Charlie.
They are. And, you know, credit to Peter Vermees and these guys putting the results together. You can only play who's put in front of you, and you're getting the results. The back line has been shaky, but they get a shutout in a crucial match, the last match of the season, heading into the playoffs, and you're missing Alan Pulido. Well done, KC.
All right, and how about Seattle against San Jose? Seattle looked real good tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this was the Seattle team and the performance that they've been waiting for. The breakout where you get Ladero, you get Rui Diaz, and then, oh yeah, Jordan Morris with the chip. Heading into the playoffs right now, this looks like, hey, it's November. They clicked in. Watch out. The Sounders are ready to defend their title.
Okay, so in the West, in round one, obviously we don't have those play-in games because there's only 8 teams. So we've got, this is going to, oh my God, SKC against San Jose. I mean, SKC, they clinched the number 1 seed, and then they've got to play the Quakes, who are one of these teams where you just don't know.
You don't.
Anything could happen. Anything could literally happen in that game. I would not put it past them to get an upset there. And then we've got Minnesota against Colorado, which I think is going to be interesting as well.
I think if you're any of these teams in the... Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think if you're any of these teams, you feel pretty good about being in this half of the Western Conference bracket. Below, you've got, Portland, Seattle, and LAFC. I think this one is much more up for grabs.
Yeah, for sure. These are fun as well. Oh, my God. Okay, so Portland, Dallas, but this Seattle LAFC matchup, are you kidding me? This is going to be great.
The Sounders are the Sounders, right? They go into the playoffs every year, and they're the favorites to come out of the West. And this LAFC team, they are still fragile at times. We literally saw that tonight. But they have Carlos Vela back. They're going to have Bradley Wright Phillips back. They could get a 4-3 out of this one. They could get a 3-2. I can't believe we're going to see these two teams play each other in the first round. I cannot believe that.
I know. What a gift. I mean, is it too much too soon? I don't know. I don't care. I'm excited for it. Okay, guys, here's a look at the Audi 2020 MLS Cup Playoff schedule. It kicks off November 20th, the Eastern Conference play-in round matchups. And then between November 21st through November 24th, those are the round 1 games. November 29th, we got Thanksgiving in between there, P.S. And then November 29th, December 1st, and December 2nd, the conference semis. December 6th, the conference finals, and then it all culminates on December 12th, the 2020 MLS Cup, baby. Woo! What is up, everybody? Welcome to MLS Decision Day, presented by AT&T Postgame Show. I'm Susannah Collins, joined by my partners in crime, Calen Carr, Matt Doyle, and we got Charlie Davies on the Postgame Show, which is very exciting. We also have Andrew Wiebe standing by. He's going to be giving us some interviews from around the league, so we'll hear from him shortly. Guys, this was a lot. It was a wild day. Decision day is always frenetic, and I always feel just like a little off kilter after these days. But we got through it. The Union got it done. I mean, I think we're all feeling pretty good about the Philadelphia Union and what they were able to accomplish. Doyle.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the fact that they've done it so linearly over the last 5 years, every year they just get better and better and better. And then this year they were able to hit that elite gear in terms of not just being a consistently good team, but being a consistently dominant team. And they've saved their best for last. Because I think this Revs team is actually very good. And they have Carlos Gil back, and they have Gustavo Bo back. And granted, neither of these guys are 100%, but this Revs team is good. And they were not in the game against the Union for a single second. Philly came out there and just stood on their throat, and they ended it. And that's how you do it in style. And they absolutely deserve that Supporters Shield win. Been a lot of big wins out of Philadelphia this week.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, just to go on that, Doyle, it's to have Matt Freese, a 22-year-old goalkeeper who spent 2 years at Harvard, comes in, hasn't played a minute this year in goal, and does a fantastic job of not making any mistakes. And that's what the Union needed tonight. And I think that when you look at this, all the pressure that went into this match of bringing that first trophy home, and typically they freeze up. Not today.
But hasn't that been the story for this Philly team, is that it's been about the depth this year. That's why they've won the Supporters Shield, is the roster construction, the way that they've built the team from top to bottom, the way they've brought in young players, they've brought in foreign acquisitions. Martinez coming in this year has been fantastic. And then, wouldn't you know, the one piece that you thought they wouldn't ever have to shift, Blake, drops out with a couple games left. He may return in the playoffs, but to go and have to be tested continually and find more and more depth. That, to me, is what has separated this team. The youth, the energy, the mobility, they just look a step quicker and up for it. Even just the reactions constantly all over the pitch. Dynamic team, well coached, and congratulations to Philadelphia.
Very well coached, because going into this game, you knew that the Revs, one of the best teams in the league, defensively from open play, but very weak on set pieces. One of the worst teams in the league defending on corners. So you saw it on that first Union goal. They were awake to the threat. They were understanding how to take the Revs apart from restarts, and they did it. They got the first one. That New England has to push their back line up a little bit, allow guys to get in behind. Jose Martinez, maybe the newcomer of the year, diming that ball across to Corey Burke. What a weapon he is off the bench. And then this man right there, Alejandro Bedoya, getting to raise that. He should be best 11 this season. Ali Bedoya has been remarkable this season. And this whole team, you could see what it meant to them. And watching the fans as well, seeing some of the fans in that stadium with tears in their eyes. It's been a long road. And let's not forget, it was the Sons of Ben 15 years ago who got the ball rolling on Philadelphia even getting an MLS team in the first place. It's been a long road for all of them, and what a payoff it is for them right here today.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things I saw tonight too was that there were a few fans in the stadium. Obviously, they can't have the entire place full because of COVID, but I was just so happy that there were fans there that were able to celebrate this historic moment for the club. And yeah, it was just wonderful to see. You could see how much it meant to the players, the fans, everybody there. It was a really special moment. Well, right now, guys, it is time for AT&T 5G call to the field, and we are going to send it out to Andrew Wiebe, who is standing by with Brenden Aaronson.
Brenden Aaronson, Supporters Shield winner, Philadelphia Union Supporters Shield winner. How does it feel, man?
Yeah, oh my God, I can't even put into words how I feel right now. It's a speechless moment for me. It just being a hometown kid and finally winning a trophy for a club, it means so much. And I'm just so happy to be a part of it, and the team's so happy, the fans here are so happy, and I'm just so happy we brought a trophy here.
You had an opportunity last week. That opportunity came up a little bit lacking. Today, you made no mistake. What was the mentality going into this game? What was this performance in your mind?
Yeah, I just think it was not letting all that kind of stuff get to you, not all the hype and off for the game. But I think for us, it was just awesome coming out here and not letting everybody get nervous and just having a great game. So
9-0 at home at Subaru Park. You have now sealed home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Should you go play an MLS Cup, they'll be doing it on the banks of the Delaware, man. The dream is MLS Cup. Are you capable of that?
Yeah, I think we are as a team. I think just being here and being as a team, it's been amazing. So I can't thank the club enough for just having this, and we're going to go into this final playoffs and just absolutely kill it. So I'm super excited, and we're going to bring hopefully another trophy back.
All right.
I got to go, guys. We're celebrating.
Show me.
So,
Get out of here. Go, Brenden. Go. Congratulations to the Union. Congratulations to you. Brenden Aaronson. Back to you, Suze.
Thanks, Andrew. All right, Doyle, you've got some splaining to do, my friend, because Matthew to George tweeted this out. I about died. Union playing an extra time clip of Matt Doyle saying, I don't think the Union are real contenders from March, perhaps. The trophy for holding grudges is in the mail. Doyle, how dare you? How dare you? They are using it as fuel now.
Well, I'm going to give them a little bit to use for the playoffs then, because the reason I doubted this Union team is because I didn't think they would have that top gear. I didn't think they would have that top level that we see Toronto or Seattle hit basically every year in the playoffs. The same level that we saw Atlanta hit a couple of years ago when they won MLS Cup. And they hit it a couple of times in the regular season, including this game today. But if you look at the history of the MLS playoffs, it's Raul Ruiz-Diaz, it's Joseph Martinez, it's Josie Altidore, it's Nico Ladero, it's Diego Valeri. It's going back to Landon Donovan and Robbie Keane. So as fantastic as this team was, built for the Supporters Shield, built for the regular season, I'm going to reserve my right to doubt, once again, the Philadelphia Union as apex-level contenders in this MLS Cup. I still think, in the MLS Cup playoffs, I still think it's Toronto and Seattle that are the favorites in their respective conferences. So if you guys win MLS Cup, feel free to play that clip, guys.
Okay, well, the Philadelphia Union now join this group. Here are some past Supporters Shield winners. They are certainly in excellent company there as we look at this list. I mean, obviously, look back to last year and LAFC and what they were able to accomplish, just absolutely stunning. And then the year before that, I feel like people forget about the Red Bulls in 2018, right?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to forget when you're talking about Atlanta United of 2018 . So
I know.
The Red Bulls were the better team, though. The Red Bulls were the better team. They just
because at the end of the day,
they beat Atlanta every time except for the one time they didn't press them.
But look at this.
Yeah,
look
the one time that matters.
Only 2 of the last 10 Shield winners have won MLS Cup. So
it's hard.
There's something to be said. It is. It is not easy. So let's talk a little bit more about this Philadelphia team. You know, they're going to lose Brenden Aaronson at the end of the season. He's going to go play in Salzburg. They could lose Mark McKenzie. I mean, do you feel like that they have to win? If they're going to win an MLS Cup, it has to be this year. What do you think, Charlie?
I don't believe that it has to be this year. I think they've proven to a lot of people that they're developing talent. serious talent at YSC in Philly. So when I look at this squad right now, the bigger loss between the two will be Mark McKenzie because of what he does for that defense. His ability to cover so much ground, read the play in front of him, dictate, play with both feet, build out of the back. He's really developed into a phenomenal center back in Major League Soccer. He is destined for Europe sooner than later. But what I'm really impressed with the Union today was Jamiro Montero. He was all over the pitch. He broke up plays. He won his challenges, his duels. He had the interceptions. He completed the most passes in the attacking half. That was the X factor today because you knew what you're going to get from Bedoya. And Doyle said, best 11 player. Absolutely. But doesn't have the stats to back it up. And we all know in Major League Soccer, you got to have some stats to warrant a best 11 selection. So with that being said, you have Bedoya, Aaronson, and Jamiro Montero. Three-headed monster in the midfield have really caused problems. And then Corey Burke being that striker who's going to push Jabilko and Sergio Santos to the next level because everybody wants to be on the pitch. If you're not finishing, guess who will? Corey Burke is ready. He's tough to deal with. He's not the cleanest player. He doesn't have the best technique, but he can finish, and he's unorthodox. You throw in Andre Blake coming in the second round of the playoffs, they are strong down the spine. I don't see a team beating them in the East. And they play every game at home. Every game at home. They're 9-0-0 at home this year. Throw that into the mix as well. They aren't losing. They're going to MLS Cup.
Wow. Bold.
Right now.
Bold predictions, and I'm here for it. I like it. All right, we're going to have more on the Eastern Conference coming up in the show, but right now we're going to switch it on over to the Western Conference, and we're going to start with that RSL against SKC match in the snow. SKC looking to secure the top spot in the West, Calen Carr.
Yeah, I mean, look, they haven't been talked about as much as the Seattles, the LAFCs, the Portlands even, but they finished top of the West. And I think part of that is because it has been done by committee in a lot of ways. And again, you see Hurtado getting on the score sheet. It's not just one player. They've got it throughout the squad. A lot of talent. And look, this is not an easy game to go up to in these conditions. Anyway, you can barely find the ball. I couldn't even find it myself while I was watching the match. So credit to Sporting, but I do think they were going to have a tricky matchup in this first round with San Jose. I don't think it's going to be as straightforward. Yes, I know that San Jose didn't look good against Seattle, but they've proven that it's Jekyll and Hyde. So you don't really know who's going to show up. But credit to Sporting Kansas City for taking care of business in a storm.
Calen, it's a lot like Philly,
blizzard.
Right?
A blizzard.
It's a lot. It's a lot like Philly because they've done it throughout the year, as you said, by committee. They've done it with their depth. They've played good soccer throughout. Even when Alan Pulido and Gadi Kinda are on there, they have that high level. They didn't have those guys today. They still went out there and got a big victory in a Winter Wonderland.
I'm laughing at those scenes. Oh my god!
Suze, you can't put up your Christmas tree yet, Suze. You cannot put up your Christmas tree yet.
Don't you tell me that. Don't take away my joy.
Thanksgiving.
I've seen at least 4 trees on my street. I'm telling people.
I say in 2020, it doesn't matter. There are no rules in 2020 as far as
that's fair.
Got the Christmas,
put up my tree if
the
I
Christmas
want.
turtleneck on.
I just turned on the fireplace.
Very nice.
Actually.
Very nice.
I just turned on the fireplace.
I have a question for Doyle especially because I feel like Calen kind of alluded to it at the top of those highlights. You know, SKC is a team that we don't really talk about in the same way that we'll talk about Seattle, even Portland or LAFC. But they're the top seed. Like, do people actually believe in this team? They've had quite a turnaround this year.
They have, but it's more of a reversion back to the Sporting KC team that we saw from 2011 to 2018. Last year, it was kind of a blip, but it also let them know we have to go out and get some top talent. We have to go out and spend, and they finally did on Alan Pulido, and when he's been available, he has been excellent. One of the best newcomers in the league this year. Same for Gadi Kinda. Roberto Puncec in central defense as well has been a rock, but that's the question. If people don't believe about Sporting KC, and I'll put my hand up and say I don't actually believe that they're going to be there at the end in the Western Conference, it's because they're just not the same lockdown defensive team that they were for about 4 or 5 years there in the middle of this decade. I still have major questions about that defense. I think, again, like Philly, I think they're better suited for the long haul of the regular season because of that depth. Whether they have that last 5% that you need in order to get through the playoffs, that is the big question for this team.
Charlie, anything to add there?
Yeah, yes. I thought that Sporting Kansas City did a fantastic job of the transition from last year to this year with implementing those attacking pieces. I think Kyrie Shelton is one player that has really been able to change the dynamic of Sporting KC because he can stretch the opposing back lines, create more space for Alan Pulido underneath. And Alan Pulido, as good as he is as a goal scorer, he's a facilitator as well. So Johnny Russell now is not your go-to guy. And when he's not your go-to guy and he's your second or third option, man, that is a lot to deal with because he's so dangerous. He can go both ways with just his left foot, right? He's one of those players who's creative, can score a lot of goals, but also create for everybody underneath. I think Espinoza and Busio, that partnership in the midfield has also been great to see because of the ability to play those balls into tight spaces. They're comfortable in possession. So when I look at them attacking, I'm like, man, Sporting KC can play against anybody. But defensively, that is the problem when I look at Sporting Kansas City. They've been tested by Cincinnati, not a big test. They've been tested by Real Salt Lake, not a big test. They've been tested by Chicago, not that big of a test. So when you look at who they played over the course of time, they're not playing Seattle, they're not playing Portland, they're not playing LAFC, they're not playing these teams week in and week out. So you can only play who's on the schedule, but at the same time, they're not getting really tested. So in the playoffs, it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust when they have to play against the top teams in the Western Conference.
Yeah, going to be interesting. That first matchup against San Jose, Calen said it. I mean, could be upset special. You never know. You just never know with San Jose.
You never know.
Woo! All right, guys, time now for another AT&T 5G call to the field, and we'll send it back out to Andrew Wiebe, who is standing by with Tim Melia.
Oh, it's not 2019 anymore with Tim Melia. A first place Sporting Kansas City out west, a 10-spot jump, Tim. But before we get to the performance this season and what you're looking forward to, can you feel your hands? How are you feeling? How did you warm yourself up after this game?
I'm warm now. I immediately ran into the shower and just stood under the hot water for a little bit, but all worth it. Happy to be where we are right now and excited to start the playoffs.
Feels a little bit like playoff soccer when you have those weather conditions, huh?
I mean, the game's scrappy, ugly, any adjective you want to use. It's not pretty, but we came here with an objective to make sure that we put ourselves in the best position to have home field advantage throughout the Western Conference playoffs, and we accomplished that. So we're happy. We're proud of the way that everyone played.
What's different about this particular Sporting Kansas City team than what happened last year? What was sort of the shifting point for you guys?
I think just an attitude adjustment, back to just the simple things. We had to learn how to suffer again, learn how to, put the work in the off season and suffer throughout the season and collectively gain those points earlier on to put ourselves in a better position at the end of the season. Obviously, we had the addition of some really great players as well. So I think all of those things together put us where we are today.
You got San Jose in the first round. When you think of the Earthquakes, what comes to mind for you right now?
They're an exciting team, right? They're aggressive going forward. They like to open themselves up, attacking and defensively. They have quality all over the field. It's going to be a great game and a competitive game at Children's Mercy Park.
How does this change for you guys being at home throughout the playoffs? How does it change your approach? How does it change just the way you look at the opportunity in front of you?
I think playing at home is a huge advantage in any sport, and even more so now. I think that we are a better possession team at home, and that allows us to control the tempo of the game a little bit more. But, we do that normally. It's a different story in the playoffs. Now that we're in the playoffs, we have to produce and move forward within those.
Of course, it's all about the punch. It's all about the goal scoring. Alan Pulido's the guy to do it, but he did not start this game. And that kind of speaks to who this team has been this year. You got the big money signing. It's what everybody was screaming for Sporting Kansas City, but it's Shelton, it's Hurtado, it's Gerso, it's Russell, it's Busio. That is the strength. Sometimes I feel like maybe it's a little bit more inconsistent on the back line. The personnel has been switching a lot. Tell me about what you guys have done in the back and why you have confidence in what you can do in the playoffs.
Our back line has been solid, right? I think we have a lot of quality across our back line, and we've been able to play a lot of different lineups and maintain a consistent defensive performance. And then to speak to all the guys that you just mentioned, It's a collective effort, and they're individually incredibly talented. Johnny Russell is a guy who can dribble anyone. He's confident on the ball. Speed. Kyrie, for me, is one of the best signings of the year. This guy, when he plays, we're just a better team. You saw that in 2018, and it's because of his work rate on both sides of the ball. Jerso's electric. He doesn't get enough credit probably, but he's that guy who, like, people gravitate towards defensively because they're nervous they're going to get beat with pace, and it opens up space for other guys. And then Hurtado is just, every game he's come on recently, he has scored huge goals for us, and tonight included. So all those guys collectively together is a very, very good attacking presence. And then, when you throw in an Alan Polito, who is incredibly talented, he has done so many great things for us already, and we're just hoping that he's back, shorter than longer.
Well, I heard Peter Vermees in the background. You never want to have a Peter Vermees team against you in the postseason. This is a decade of excellence, right? It's got to feel special to be a part of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to be a part of this culture, this environment, and Peter Vermees, from top to bottom, and all the staff members and support staff, video staff, everything that goes into this club is special. It's different. It happens organically here almost, and it's something that I'm proud to be a part of.
Big test coming up, Sporting Kansas City. First seed in the Western Conference. Tim Melia, congratulations on the win on decision day. And now the business is at hand, right?
Yep. On to the next one, right? Now we got to perform.
All right, back to you, Suze.
Thanks so much, Andrew. All right, let's get into some more highlights. We saw Seattle taking on San Jose. Seattle were looking to get that number 1 seed, but of course, as we know, SKC got the job done. Doyle, what'd you see in this one?
Well, I mean, the first half had 0 highlights, as we just kind of showed, and then this guy showed up. Nico Ladero, he's been kind of dragging the past month or so, and he has basically gotten no rest this entire second half of the season, but he was spry after halftime. That goal opened up the game, and when the game opens up for the Seattle Sounders, they can just pour it on. So that was a big goal for Marie Diaz. Nice job here to come back into it from Marcos Lopez. This is a hell of a goal, and they're right to celebrate it. But then this right here from sorry, I thought I was going to go straight to the goal highlight, but this is a nice clearance right there. But this one right here from the Sounders, this is when they're just ruthless. If you make a mistake, they're just going to cram it right down your throat, and they just end the game, and that's that. So with Seattle's feeling it, when they're playing like this, this is what we're used to this time of year from Seattle. We've seen it each of the last 4 seasons.
We had Zakuani on earlier,
this was,
and he was talking about there was a lack of continuity, and just sorry, Suze, I hopped in there.
That's all right. No, go ahead.
He was talking about. Okay, cool. He was talking about how the Sounders really in the second half had struggled, and today it was flipped, where they were not able to. In the first half, they weren't as good, and then second half, they really opened the floodgates. And so I think that is a really good sign for them as well. And look, you want anytime you can get your best players on the score sheet heading right before the playoffs, get that confidence going. Rui Diaz especially, I thought was really big. You could see his hunger, and he's gonna play a massive role for them down the stretch.
And Doyle, you talked about Nico Ladero kind of playing in so many matches, logging in all those minutes. Well, now they get a nice little break, and I think for a lot of these teams who have some of those veterans who you've had to rely on for the majority of the season, there couldn't come a better time for a week off. Letting your body recover heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, for Ladero will get that because I believe he's been left out of the Uruguay squad. Raul Ruiz Diaz, though, he's headed back down to South America with Peru. Gustav Svensson heading to Europe, and then Arriaga down to Ecuador as well for World Cup qualifiers. But it's important, like you said, Charlie, for Ladero especially to get a couple of weeks off and rest those legs.
All right, guys, let's move it along to LAFC Portland. Let's see. Portland could have also taken that top spot, but obviously we know what happened there. So, Charlie, let's take us through the highlights here.
It's Carlos Vela back in the starting 11, and of course, finding the back of the net. And this is what LAFC needed. They needed that influence of Carlos Vela. Even if he's not scoring, he's going to be drawing attention. He's clinical in front of goal. He creates chances. And you saw they were a little bit more now dynamic in the attacking third.
Yeah, they were super dynamic in the attacking third. Vela was a big part of it. Rossi was everywhere. I think LAFC hit the woodwork 3 or 4 times tonight, and especially in this first 25, 35 minutes, it felt like it was inevitable they were going to get that second and third goal. There's another little paint job right there from Rossi. They were doing this without Bradley Wright Phillips. They were doing this without a couple of big players for them. But then this is also LAFC. For as well as they play, they leave the door open. And this came after a shot on goal and a save and an immediate counterattack, and that's 1-1. And that's how you go from the 5th seed and in a first-round game that you maybe like your chances in to the 7th seed. And now you got to go up to Seattle to start the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's a chance for revenge for LAFC, but I don't think they wanted their chance at revenge on the Sounders until the second round at the earliest.
I mean, I'm so excited for this matchup, but it feels like one that we should be seeing later on in the playoffs. But I have to say, I think when you see Carlos Vela in his first start since he was injured and him scoring goals immediately, Mark Anthony Kaye is healthy again. I mean, there are reasons to think that LAFC can certainly be competitive against Seattle, but they've just had such a hard time against a Seattle team, and a win like Seattle had tonight feels like it was like, oh, okay, Seattle, there you are. I see you. This is this playoff Seattle team that we all know so very well. So I don't know. I'm so excited for that matchup. I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah, Susannah. I mean, if you're LAFC and you want to take the positives, is getting Carlos Vela's first start since his injury.
Yeah.
And for him to come through unscathed, as well as to get a goal early, was basically as good. And then a nice, easy tap in. I thought a big shift that really helps them is moving Latif back into the middle of midfield. When they've really struggled is when they've had to use him at right back, putting him back in the middle of the park. Really created that first goal, that first opportunity. But Vela hasn't looked his best. He's not fully fit. He's not fully game sharp. And that's where I begin to question exactly what you guys are talking about is, does this match come a game too early? Would you rather get Vela another match, get Mark Anthony Kaye, who returned to the pitch, and can he get some game minutes? And then even if you look across the back line, Blackman is still sort of nursing a little bit of an injury. You'd like to see him and Segura switch sides where he could go back to his customary right-hand side. I think they just didn't want to risk him at this point. So for LAFC, I don't think you would want this match so fast. You'd rather get another one in before you have to go against a Sounders team that is in better health.
Who would you want to play? Who would you want to play if you're LAFC? And would you want to play Minnesota?
I mean, I think if you could have, basically anybody else. I think this is just anybody else. This is an anybody else situation. No, I mean, this LAFC team has struggled against the Sounders team at full strength and at full health. And without their best players and in best form, I think, and having to go on the road, that's going to be tough.
Calen's not going to dunk on Minnesota United, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. But one thing that LAFC, again, oh God, here we go. It's all going to start up again, isn't it? Guys, one thing that LAFC can celebrate tonight is their Golden Boot winner, presented by Audi, Diego Rossi. We kind of knew that he had this one in the bag, but it is official. This is the first time that players on the same team have won it in consecutive years. Obviously, Carlos Vela won it last year, Diego Rossi with 14 goals this year. So, he was outstanding for them this season. They needed him so badly, and he really, really stepped up. And I think, here we go, with Diego Rossi taking home the 2020 Golden Boot presented by Audi. Audi will further its support of MLS academies by donating $10,000 to the LAFC Academy. So congrats to Diego. Congrats to LAFC. You love to see it. All right, well, let's take a look at the Western Conference bracket. Here's the top part of that bracket. And what of these matches, what are you looking forward to, Calen? What entices you here?
Well, like I said, I think this one is pretty wide open. Colorado has looked good of late. Minnesota United looked very convincing tonight. San Jose looked pretty bad, but then again, we've seen San Jose in recent weeks turn really good all of a sudden, really fast. And I would say Sporting is probably the most consistent there, but I don't know. Even though Charlie's trying to goat me into calling out Minnesota United, I kind of liked what I saw from them today. Molino, I think they could potentially make a run to the conference final.
Doyle, any thoughts?
Well, I mean, we've beaten Seattle and LAFC to death. With Portland versus FC Dallas, this Portland team, they showed a lot of guts tonight because they got outplayed and they never panicked and they never got their heads down, and they knew that one chance was going to come, and they took it, and they got a result. FC Dallas, up and down. Sometimes they show up and look great. Other times they do not. Just a disastrous performance for them tonight. I think Portland, even with two DPs, hurt because they still don't have Sebastian Blanco. They don't have Yaroslav Nizgata. Neither of those guys are going to be back till 2021. Portland are clear favorites here, and once they get a little bit hot, you never know with this team how far they can go.
And they didn't have Shara, and they didn't have Ebobisse either in this one, and still were able to get a point on the road against LAFC, and you'd expect to see those guys back.
All right, the Eastern Conference bracket. Let's move it on over to the top of that. Once again, we have the play-in rounds, which is going to be exciting. Just a reminder, Nashville is going to be taking on Miami. New England will be taking on Montreal. That is on November 20th. And then when you look at the top half of this bracket, we're going to see Philadelphia take on the lower-seeded play-in winner. And then we've got that Orlando NYCFC matchup, which I think is pretty good. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, Orlando NYCFC is going to be a lot of fun, specifically because both those teams play beautiful soccer when they're healthy, and given the 2-week break, they should all be healthy. But we all know what you need in the playoffs to go far. You need to have superior talent. You need to have those guys show up on the day. We know Toronto have that. Every other team in this Eastern Conference, every other team, it's an open question as to whether or not they have the type of guy who could just drag you through the playoffs the way Josie Altidore has done in the past, the way that we've seen Rui Diaz and Ladero do it in the other conference, the way we saw Joseph Martinez do it. So Toronto have that. Everybody in the East is chasing Toronto at this point, and that includes the Philadelphia Union.
All right, well,
I disagree with you there,
Doyle.
Go
ahead, Charlie. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm out on that too.
Yeah, Toronto have lost 3 of the last 4. So for me, they're not in good rhythm. They're not in a good form. And there are teams that have players who can make the game. When you talk about
Nani, Orlando,
Lucas Zelarayan, Nagby. Okay.
Let's talk about DC United versus Montreal, guys.
Montreal.
Oh, boy.
But,
Doyle, you can't just leave something like that, man.
Yeah, DC, backs against the wall, but they feel like, we have the talent to win this. Set pieces. Donovan Pines, Ola Kamara, that they knew they had an advantage there. But Montreal, they weren't going to give up. They weren't going to roll over. Wanyama with the game winner. Massive. Or the game tying, and then Kyoto with the game winner. Massive. And I think for me, this is impressive for Thierry Henry to get his team into the playoffs, considering how up and down and how many deficiencies they had. He was able to get them into the playoffs. I think it's a success for Thierry Henry when you talk about just getting the Montreal Impact into the playoffs.
And doubly hard for
long gone.
Yeah, doubly hard for the Canadian teams, right? Because everybody has struggled with everything in 2020, but these Canadian teams have been away from home for months. These guys in Montreal have been living in New Jersey. They've been playing their home games at Red Bull Arena. This was a road game on top of months-long, couple months of road games, and for them to put together that type of performance, I do think it showed the character of the team. And I'll admit it, like I think MLS is better when Thierry Henry's around, and I like seeing Thierry Henry in the playoffs, and I'm looking forward to what this Montreal Impact team can do. Even though, to be fair, they struggled badly the past couple of months.
Yeah, and I think it would be tough for Henry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sus.
Oh no, That's all right. We had talked on the weekend preview about how sometimes on decision day, if a team goes.
I think I know where you're going with that. Yes, a team on decision day momentum. Look, I think this is a unique one because there's going to be quite a gap between normally, in the past it's often been that play-in round comes quick and fast, maybe a couple days later or a midweek match. And I think you can really ride that momentum at times. This one, I believe, is not happening until November 20th. So that's a little bit of time to cool off. Now, Montreal has been hit by injuries pretty hard throughout the entire season, and they'll maybe get a chance to go home and see their families as well. So I think that's just reward. You can see how gutted they were at the end of the match, how much they'd left on the pitch. And I think Doyle's point is spot on with Henry. I mean, he hasn't been able to have all the pieces at his disposal at the right times. He's had to change lineups. They've conceded the most goals in the Eastern Conference. They gave up 2 pretty poor set pieces and still climbed their way back in. And I thought sort of the end run from Kyoto was emblematic of kind of that spirit of the saying, hey, this is still a committed team, and they are still have a lot of fight. And for a club that hasn't been in the playoffs for 3 years, Thierry Henry's first year through all that adversity, I think you have to take your hats off and say if the supporter shield matters significantly or the same amount and there's no asterisk there, then a playoff spot at the bottom of the table or near the bottom of the Eastern Conference is the same. So congratulations to Henry and Montreal.
Yeah, absolutely. And also a big congrats to Miami because they have also clinched their spot in the playoffs. I think they had a 52% chance of it, according to 538, heading into today. But they got it done against Cincinnati and in their first MLS season, Doyle. Miami, playoff bound.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I expected Miami to make the playoffs, and I think a lot of people did. I didn't expect them to have to scratch and claw and basically live off of set piece goals to get there. But they got to this point in the season, and they had Cincinnati at home for the final game of the season, which is exactly what you want to have if you need 3 points. And they got it done and gave up a nice banger right there to Joe Zhao. And this is not, I'm going to say, this is not a vintage Inter Miami performance, but there is no such thing as a vintage Inter Miami performance at this point because they've been all over the place in terms of their formation, in terms of their personnel, in terms of where Diego Alonso's having them draw their line of confrontation. I can't tell you tactically what they want to do from week to week because a lot of it just doesn't seem to be repeatable. What they do have, though, they have Leandro Gonzalez-Perez. He's been a best 11 defender in the past. He's won an MLS Cup in the past. He's in his prime. He had a big goal today. They have Blas Matuidi, who's a World Cup winner. He hasn't been great since he got here. But I think after 2 weeks of rest, I kind of expect Blas Matuidi to be really good. And they have Gonzalo Higuain, and Gonzalo Higuain has 1 goal this season. By the numbers, he has had a worse season than Chicharito. And we've been talking about how terrible Chicharito's been all year. But sooner or later, you expect a guy with that quality to make a difference. Now, I'm not going to pick Miami to go far in the playoffs, but they have so much high-priced talent. So many guys who could go out there and, despite the team around them having a terrible performance, just drag them to a win with that raw talent. And sometimes in the playoffs, that's exactly what you need.
They will be underdogs, though, I think. Going against Nashville SC. Yeah, Nashville tonight proved a lot. I mean, they'd already clinched it and have looked impressive for a while now. But to go down to Orlando, a team where I believe they only lost 1 game at home all season, and to come from behind twice in that match to win, Nashville's got a pretty good formula as far as stout defense, set pieces, and timely goals as well. So I think for Inter Miami, they're in the playoffs, but I think they'd be pretty big underdogs going against Nashville SC.
I'm with you. Nashville,
go ahead, Charlie.
Defensively sound. I've been on here multiple times and said, man, they just parked the bus. They parked 2 buses, 2 in their 18. Yet I think what they've done is they've played to their strengths. They know, okay, we're not going to outclass teams, but what we are going to do is outcompete them. We're going to counter, and we're going to be successful as one can be on restarts and set pieces. They've done that. So now they're really difficult to beat because they've mastered their identity. They said, we're going to be a team that defends first, and then everything else is a benefit. We're going to really try and set the tone. We'll stay back, but when we do find those gaps, when we do have those opportunities to attack, we're going to do it. But for the most part, let's just be smart and pragmatic, and they've done that. So I think heading into the playoffs, you don't want to play teams like that because you know exactly how difficult it's going to be to break them down. And then on every corner kick, on every set piece, you're like, oh, this is where they're really good. Like, who are we going to mark? Are we going to mark Zimmerman? Or are we going to mark Romney? Now you have Cadiz, who you have to worry about. They just have options, and with McCarty and Zimmerman in the heart of their team, they're a tough team because they have that experience.
All right, well, it's time for another AT&T 5G call to the field, so let's send it back out to Andrew Wiebe, who is standing by with Lewis Morgan.
It was wet, it was nervy, but in the end, Inter Miami in their expansion season are playoff bound. Lewis Morgan, how does it feel, man? This has not been a certainty all year long, but you guys did it in the end. You snuck in.
Yeah, I mean, certainly made it hard on ourselves. We knew coming into the game today that we required favours from elsewhere, but we were confident as long as we could take care of our result and win, then the rest was really out of our hands. And luckily enough, we were able to scrape in there in the last day.
You got the win, but you needed the fire to not handle their business, let's say. How did you find out? When did you know? Did you go to a coach, to a trainer, to somebody at the final whistle? What was the moment you knew you were going to the playoffs?
I mean, just when the whistle blew, obviously, I wasn't aware of the results, but I could tell from some of the reaction from our coaches that we were in a good place. We had a nervous couple of minutes waiting on the last couple of results coming in. I think Montreal and one of the other games had gone on a little bit later than ours, so we were just waiting. And yeah, luckily enough, they didn't take maximum points, and we were able to take advantage of that.
I saw Diego Alonso with the big hug, with the jumping up and down, a fist pump or two. What is the feeling like in the locker room? You just cracked that little bit of a smile right now. Give me the emotional side of this for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a long, tough season for us, and Welsh, we didn't finish as high up in the league as we'd wanted to or had ambitions of. Now it's a new competition that starts, and we're happy to be a part of it, and we're just going to have to take each game as it comes now. And yeah, I mean, now it's knockout football, and we're all excited to hopefully go on a run.
Nashville, Miami. It's the matchup we all dreamed of, those of us that measure expansion teams apples to apples. What does this matchup seem to you, and what is the ceiling of this team? Do you have what it takes to make a long run, and how would you do that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you look at our team here, we've got loads of talented guys in our squad, and obviously Nashville's a team that we know well. We've played them a couple of times, and they've had a great seasons themselves, and we're under no illusions it's going to be a tough game going up there. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can go into that game full of motivation and confidence after tonight, and there's no reason why we can't go up there and get a result. Do you think the rain's going to follow you? I mean, yeah, hopefully, I suppose at the moment, obviously coming from Scotland, I'm not too, obviously it's something that I'm used to. So, I mean, the conditions tonight were crazy, but we played them well, and we started off well and gave us a foothold in the game, and then obviously we were able to see that out in the end. Thanks to a couple of big saves from John, and yeah, we're just happy that we've been able to get the 3 points. In a deluge, Inter Miami with a big win against FC Cincinnati. They are going to the playoffs. Expansion Bowl in the play-in round. Yep. Lewis Morgan, congrats, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you so much. All right, back to you, Suze.
Welcome to the fastest 3 minutes. Philadelphia looking for that supporter shield. Will they lock it up? Sergio Santos scores the first goal of the game, and Philly are feeling it. And Corey Burke comes in with the substitute appearance. His goal, 2-0, and they get the shield. Union get their first trophy.
Yeah, and Philadelphia didn't wait for someone else to mess up. They handled it themselves, and Toronto did not get the result they needed. Tom Barlow gets the goal, and then Brian White with the tap-in here gives the Red Bull the win in this one.
Oh, this man right here, a MLS legend for the Red Bulls and now an MLS legend for Montreal because he got the Impact back into the playoffs. Big late comeback for them. Big celebration. Job well done for the Impact.
Robert Barrich, the striker for Chicago. Chicago wins, they're in. Frankowski, he gets 2 goals in 1 minute. You'd think they were back in it. Here they go. Okay, Chicago, come on, keep pushing. Oh, no. The turnover. And Tati Castellanos. New York City FC secure the 5th spot.
Long time to think about that one. Can Higuain bring them into the playoffs? No, but Mikey Ambrose might. What a strike from Ambrose there. And then LGP with the sort of reverse header. Man, that was beautiful. Inter Miami make the playoffs. First time in club history.
Atlanta United need a win and some help or they'll miss the playoffs for the first time in club history. Well, they got neither. No win, no help. 2-1 Crew.
Nani is playing after his red card was rescinded. You would think, oh, what is that going to mean? Well, that's going to mean a free kick finding the back of the net. Aye, feeling good, but Nashville, not to be messed with. They get the win in Orlando.
Colorado and Cole Bassett. Doyle, you will love the play your kids movement, and I'm loving it too. Yunus Namli with the goal there, and then Diego Rubio late. Oh, it hurts as a Dynamo fan. But congratulations.
This one's got to feel good for Dynamo fans because FC Dallas had home field on the line, and they got absolutely throttled by Minnesota United. Really a statement win for Minnesota United. You saw Kevin Molino, that's Babello Reynoso, 3-0 to the Loons.
Carlos Vela, first start since August 22nd, feeling himself. The LAFC, attacking front trio, dynamic. They get the goal. But then Portland, Class A counterattack, 1-1.
They want me to ask, is this Wando's last season? But I'm not. I won't have none of it. I'll have none of it. But this was all Seattle. Ladero, Rui Diaz, Morris, you know the drill. You know what time of year it is.
Yeah, it's orange ball time of year. That's what time it is, Calen. And Sporting KC playing with the top spot in the West on the line and set pieces in the snow for one. And then Eric Hurtado, been real good off the bench this year. Got his 5th goal of the season. I don't like that celebration, but you know, you do what you want when you top of the
Kinnear. Who will coach LA Galaxy next year? That's the big question. Lucas Cavallini gets the first goal for Vancouver, and the second one, Montero, 2-0 Vancouver. LA continue to struggle.
Wow, guys, that was great. You got me all fired up. Time now. Let's take a look at our Player of the Week candidates. Oh, man, we've got some good ones to choose from. Romel Kyoto, Jose Martinez, Kevin Molino, and Freddie Montero. Who do you think? Got any preferences, guys? Anyone stand out to you there?
To me, it's Martinez. After the performance,
Martinez.
Yeah, after the performance he had today, what an acquisition he's been. Biggest game of the season, biggest game in Union franchise history. Give that man his props.
All right, and guys, just a reminder, here is the schedule for the Audi 2020 MLS Cup Playoffs. Everything kicks off on November 20th. Those are the Eastern Conference play-in rounds. That's going to be super exciting. And then from November 21st to the 24th, round 1, we get Thanksgiving. Second conference semifinals, followed up on December 6th by the conference finals, and then it all comes to a head on December 12th. That is your 2020 MLS Cup final. We cannot wait. And on that note, we've been talking a lot about the brackets, and my guy Charlie Davies is a brave man because he is going to fill out his entire bracket. He's putting it all out there, and I could not be more proud of you and just very excited to see where you go with this. I think I have a hunch.
I think you already gave us a spoiler.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I do it for the squad. And I'm going to start off with the Eastern Conference play-in round. Here we go. Nashville, Inter Miami. Nashville, they're going to go on. They're playing with confidence. They have their identity. You know what you're going to get from them every week. And then Revolution at home versus Montreal Impact, as well as the Montreal Impact have done to get into the playoffs. I'm going with the Revolution at home. They get the win. Carlos Gil, Gustavo Bo, they're in form. They get the job done.
2 for 2 so far, Charlie. 2 for 2 so far. No complaints here.
Philadelphia at home. We already saw a snapshot today. Philadelphia get the job done. First game.
Over your
round
Revs?
Yeah, over
Charlie.
the Revs. Yeah,
it ain't tough.
Two
former clubs, that's a tough one.
It is. But you got to go with the team that's in form, and they're firing on all cylinders. Then Orlando versus New York City FC. This one, I can't wait. Daryl Dike has really transformed into a promising striker for Orlando, and then Tati Castellanos on the other side is now banging in goals for fun. And New York, they've looked good this year, but Orlando City at home, you think they're going to get the job done, but they don't. It's New York City FC who takes this one.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh!
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
that was a twist.
Uh-huh.
That was.
The Columbus
Plot
Crew,
twist.
Lucas Zelarayan, Darlington Nagbe, that is the key. Being able to provide service for Gyasi Zardes to score and setting the tone, keeping possession, playing against New York Red Bulls who are starting to feel themselves. It's almost like play your kids, young guys, inexperienced. Just go out there, try and do your best. It's worked, but now it doesn't. Columbus Crew, they get this result. They get the job done. And then this one is for Doyle. This one is for Doyle. Toronto FC versus Nashville. Man, Toronto, they have the game changers. They have Pozuelo, arguably the MVP this year. They have Akinola. They have Michael Bradley. Nashville, they get the upset. Wow. They go on.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
TFC.
Charlie been hitting the Pinot early tonight, folks.
All right. Now we get to the conference finals. Philadelphia Union at home versus New York City FC. Now, New York City FC have caused Philadelphia problems all year, but Andre Blake's back. Philadelphia Union, they get the job done. They're just a complete team down the spine. They know how to attack. They maximize their opportunities. So Philadelphia in the conference finals versus
Please
the
pick
Columbus
Nashville.
Crew.
Oh.
Columbus Crew. Nagy,
Come on. Have
Zelarayan.
some
They
courage.
can break down the low block, set pieces. They're creative. They know exactly how to handle a Nashville team who's going to be stout. Obviously, it's playing quick and movement off the ball. So then it comes down to conference finals. Columbus Crew, Philadelphia Union. You would think, this one, Philadelphia Union have come this far. They can't win. They can't lose at this point, and they don't. They're at home. They continue to win. They get the job done in the Eastern Conference. They're in the MLS Cup. Now we go to round one, Western Conference. SKC, San Jose. Oh, this is going to be a crazy one. This is the one that we're all going to be excited about. SKC, get the job done. They're not going to lose at this point. I think Johnny Russell and Gotti Kinda's back. I think this team is really has the offensive firepower to get the job done. Then Minnesota versus Colorado. I'm gonna go with the Loons, Minnesota. Don't be scared. It's Minnesota. And then Portland, FC Dallas. FC Dallas just haven't been good. They haven't been good. They haven't put in a string of performances that give me belief that they're ready for the challenge. I'm going Portland. Portland have been strong all year. And then Seattle FC, we saw LAFC, they just aren't good defensively. And I love that you got Carlos Vela back and they have this dynamic attack and you have the power to win 5-4. But against Seattle Sounders, who have that experience, who are just so strong down the spine, I'm going Seattle for this one. Back to the top, SKC versus Minnesota. We saw Sporting Kansas City dominate Minnesota in the first half of the first match in the MLS's back tournament. And you thought, wow, there's no way that Minnesota can pull it off. They can't. SKC overcome their losses in the MLS's back tournament, and they're in the conference.
I got a red card in
finals.
that one. Right?
And I'm thinking, whoa, what's going on here? Portland, Seattle, the matchup, monster matchup. Everything in my body is telling me Portland. They have the structure. Chara, Williams in the midfield with Valeri. It's looking good. But Seattle, they're hungry. They have Jordan Morris. They have Ladero. And they have Rui Diaz. So it's Seattle that get to the conference finals. And we all know when you get here, what typically happens. It's Seattle Sounders. They move on to the finals because of SKC's back line. They can't handle that trio of Ladero, Morris, and Rui Diaz. So then you get to the final. But it's the Union at home this time. Union versus Seattle. I'm going Union. Union get the job done. And the MLS Cup champion is the Philadelphia Union. Thank you very much.
Trust the process.
Man,
Trust the process.
I feel like
folks.
Trust it.
I feel like I just went on like a journey. You know, it's like I was hanging on
That
every
felt
word.
good. That felt good, Cruz. Thank you.
real quick. Let me just pick this apart. I just want to say the Union's path. Like you said, Charlie, NYCFC have been like the bogey team for Philadelphia over the past couple of years. I think they met in the playoffs, and NYCFC ripped them apart. They ended meeting like the last day of the 2018 regular season. NYCFC ripped them apart. So if Philadelphia get past NYCFC, assuming NYCFC get past Orlando City, they'll be riding high in those conference finals. And then if they meet the Crew, they've met the Crew twice this year.
Yeah.
Crew have won both.
Yep.
1-0. So, you are giving that. I'm not going to say it's the toughest possible road because for some reason you think that Toronto's going out in the first round and that's fine. It's your prerogative. But like you're
You should
giving.
love that Team Chaos. Come on.
I do
now.
love.
Jeez.
No, fair enough. I do love Team Chaos. But no, you're giving Philadelphia the toughest possible road. And what I will say, the reason I love the fact that we have the Supporter Shield and MLS Cup is because if you win both in the same year, you automatically get canonized as one of the great teams in MLS history because it takes a completely different mentality and skill set to do it in the playoffs compared to the regular season. So Philadelphia Union fans, there you go, from Charlie Davies. He thinks that your team is about to crown themselves one of the best in MLS history. I love it, Charlie. I absolutely love it.
Hey, trust the process with the youth. Play your kids. Because then it pays off for you with all that experience if you've given them over the years. Boom.
I just want to say too that like there have been I've seen discussions about how there should be an asterisk next to this season and I'm like no. Everything that these players and these teams have had to go through this year for Philadelphia to win the Supporter Shield, if they were to go on and win MLS Cup, they should be in that conversation about some of the best teams ever in the history of the league. I mean, this has been a grind. This is just nobody has ever seen or experienced a season like this, and so I think it's
and hopefully never again.
More,
and hopefully never again.
Hey, Doyle,
never again, Doyle.
Preach.
Amen to that. Well, gentlemen, I think that about wraps it up for our post-game show. But thank you so much for sticking with us, guys. We hope you enjoyed Decision Day presented by AT&T. We will be with you throughout the playoffs. Remember, it all kicks off on November 20th. So thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. We will see you in the postseason.
Chuck, I like that you gave me a couple surprises there. That was good.
For you. Anything for you, kid.
I like that. I was like, wait, Orlando, NYCFC. And I was like, oh, wait, what happened?